Call the meeting to order. Those who care to, please rise for an opening prayer and a salute to the flag. Dr. Moore, would you open us in a word of prayer, please, sir?
And Lord, tonight we come to you with heavy hearts as we think about our friends in Joplin and the devastation that they've experienced there. Pray for those who are first responders and continue to search. Pray for family and friends who have lost their loved ones. We pray for, in particular, St. John's Hospital and those folks that were there and just the recovery efforts. Lord, I don't even exactly know how to pray this prayer, but that somehow you would encourage hearts, that you would strengthen folks there, and that in due time we will get through all of this with your grace and your strength. Think about the men and women here who serve our city, and I thank you for them. And can you continue to ask you that you would give us on the council wisdom in making decisions, and then the courage to stand by those decisions, and also to pray for our staff of persons that work for the city. And all these things tonight, Lord, and much, much more, we seek you as a reminder that life is so fragile, but our trust is in you. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. 116. Let's see, City Clerk Brenda Jackson will be sworn in as the president for the Southwest City Clerk Finance Officers Association on Wednesday the 25th, this coming Wednesday. Also, Joel Alexander, Manager of Communication for City Utilities of Springfield, will be the guest speaker. The topic will be media relations. Dinner will be at 6 p.m. Interested in attending, please see Brenda for reservations, and that is at the Community Center, correct?
Correct.
And congratulations to Brenda. She has been part of that organization since she's been here at the city. A great job for them, and they're going to swear at her and let her be president. So, good for you, Brenda. Congratulations. The MML Legislative Wrap-Up Dinner will be on June 8th. If you're interested in attending council, please let Brenda know. She can make those reservations for you. Also, the Republic Police Department was a participant in the annual torch run. It will be Tuesday, May 24th. However, the members who are going to participate in the run will be holding a canned food, bottled water drive in the parking lot of Walmart Republic from 9 a.m. to noon to help victims in the Joplin area. Also, I've received word that there's quite a few media outlets that are doing some food drives and clothing drives around. Please take a look at those, participate in those. One of them is going to be out here in the City of Republic. They're going to have a trailer to collect those supplies to take them down. So, our hearts go out to the people in Joplin, and hope everything is all well there for the next couple of days, because the weather's not looking favorable for that area, as well as this area too. So, anyway, also, Mr. Derrickson has a birthday on June. Yay! Happy birthday, Mr. Derrickson. Happy birthday, Ron.
Well, thank you, Daniel.
And speaking of Daniel, he had a birthday yesterday.
He's old, huh?
I know how old he is. That's the problem. I like how they spell Daniel. They spell the whole thing. Thank you, Mayor. You're welcome, Daniel. Happy birthday, Ron. I'm not going to tell Ron's age, although it's in the 50s somewhere.
No, I wish.
That's not even nice.
That's a little trickery, wasn't it, Steve?
Yes, it was. Just move on.
Alright. Those are most of the announcements I have. Also on the agenda tonight, I would like to introduce from this district, Mr. Thomas Long. Mr. Long, come up, and Mr. Long's going to give us, Representative Long's going to give us an update on just a few things that are going on in government, and we appreciate, Mr. Long, your time. So please take a few minutes and share with us what's going on in state government.
Well, thank you very much. Harder than when you've been up there previously, up in Jeff City. Actually, I don't think we did too much damage this year. A couple of things that I'm quite proud of. We were able to get just a little bit of argument over how balanced it is, but without raising any state taxes or state fees, which we thought was important. We wanted to keep those efforts local. If somebody needed to do a bonding issue or things like that, we wanted the able to accomplish that and not take that money up into Jefferson City. A couple of the other things that we were able to do, we improved on our human. It's hard to believe that we have human trafficking in Missouri, but we do, and we were able to improve on those crimes. At the same time, kind of in the opposite realm, we started a conversation on, I think, a very important conversation on the sexual offenders list. Offenders list is extremely broad, very easy to get on, very hard, well, you can't get off. And so we've started the conversation so that people know who the real dangerous sexual offenders are and who really are just young people, perhaps, who made mistakes, and maybe we don't need to keep the scale of justice the rest of their life. Those were a couple of things. One of the things I'm extremely disappointed in, we had a very good economic package together. It included something that I worked diligently on, which was MOSIRA, is the nickname for it. It's the Missouri Science, Innovation, and deals in biotechnologies, plant, animal, and human health. The reason why that's a statewide, one of the things that our strengths in Missouri is agriculture. It's still our biggest industry, still big around. We are currently opening up a processing plant for soybean in New Madrid County, a $55 million investment in New Madrid County. Well, why am I bringing that up when I'm in Greene County and in Republic? Well, there are people who believe that they need a similar plant west of Springfield. I suspect that we know a place or two that we might like to see that in the future.
Well, there's a few acres of property available around here if you're interested.
Exactly. That would be a long project, but also included in the economic plan that we had were data centers, some tax credit reform, a host of other things that a lot of us had worked on. It literally fell apart at the table with 30 minutes left to go in the session. We passed it left to go in the session. The Senate, we thought we had a deal with the Senate, but it wasn't the deal that they wanted on tax credit reform, and so one of the other issues that we're extremely concerned about, which affects this area, is our future energy needs. So you may have heard a lot on the nuclear site permit, which I supported. The nuclear facility that is there was built to hold 4 nuclear reactors. What they're trying to do is get a site permit, which is a study to allow them to go to the next level. The problem is it's very expensive to even get a site permit. It's about $40 million to do so, and so we actually allowed rate increases for those who wanted to participate, so that Ameron could actually go out and permit. It also failed at the last minute, but I think you'll see that very early in the stage. Now, for those of us around here, because believe me, once I signed, our phones started ringing around here that your state rep wanted to raise your rates millions and millions and millions of dollars. Well, for city utility customers, it would actually not raise their rates at all. For Empire Electric customers, it would raise the rates $1.77 per customer per year, and that's a nuclear facility. And to hopefully secure our energy needs for the next generation, because we have probably seen coal-fired power plant that's going to be built in Missouri at Southwest 2. Nobody believes that we're going to actually see that built. in Missouri. So those are a few of the things that we worked on, some that we did well on, some that you're going to hear a lot about very early in the session. You're probably actually going to hear about it over the summer. I already have some trips up to Jefferson City planned, about a $300 to $500 million shortfall next year. We were able to plug the shortfall this year with delayed. And what I mean by that is that the previous legislature, previous to my election, actually held back some of the stimulus monies that we had gotten, increasing the budget. It just held it steady. And so with that, we were able to retain $189 million, which went into K through 12 education, very flat, which flat today is a win. So we were happy for that. While I'm on education, we're going to have to watch out for very, very carefully in this next session, and it has to be fixed in this next session or we're going to get killed. You remember, previous to the election, we almost lost $900,000 here in school funding in Republic, $1.2 million in spring. I think the number was about $300,000 in Ash Grove. That's because our schools are what are known as formula schools. There are schools hold harmless schools. And without going into the whole machinations of it, basically your hold harmless schools money currently by law under the new formula than the old formula. And the idea is that we would for the formula schools at a faster rate than we did the hold harmless schools, and then eventually they would catch up. Well, that's all well and good when the economy is going good, but when it's not. So what is that problem? Well, because of a flaw in the formula, if we do not in the next budget, which would be the 2013 budget, the 2012 budget is set. If we do not fix it in the 2013 budget, we will wish that we only got cut $900,000. We are literally going to move tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars from over to the hold harmless schools. Representative Mike Thompson is very knowledgeable about this. I sat with him on the floor, and he and I, because we're very, very concerned about that. And every school that I represent is a formula school. That's Ash Grove. I represent a little bit of Willard, of course, public schools. So we're very concerned that we don't shift over literally hundreds of millions of dollars from formula schools to the. And then the last thing, if I haven't given you enough to think about, is redistricting. Of course, we went through congressional redistricting, the hoo-ha, the governor managed to override the veto. So that's all set. However, you also have House redistricting and you have Senate redistricting. Senate redistricting is pretty easy because the rules are so set, they almost draw themselves about how you have to handle the counties and things like that. The difficult part, and the nice thing in Southwest Missouri is that we're growing. The not nice thing about Southwest Missouri is I've got 9,500 too many people. And so that is starting up really in earnest now. In fact, we had a hearing today at Missouri State. Testimony was taken. If you have seen a map online of a potential House district map, just ignore it. Nobody's pitted 30 incumbents together. But one of the things that I want to get, and I would like for you guys to talk about this, because I can have some influence over the process. Republic is growing. That map showed a second rep. What it did was it took about half of Republic and it gave it to currently Representative Elmer, who's in Christian. Him north, Christian County is going to have to get another rep because they're so fast growing. And it took about half of Republic, the western half of Republic, and moved it into his. Still retained the other half of Republic, all of Ash Grove, lost part of Springfield, and in that district. But one of the ideas that I want you guys to banter about and decide if you would like for us to push that is it's very beneficial if you have reps who touch your area and who care about your area. Some people think it's not, some people think that it is. But you think about Springfield, we have who are watching out for Springfield. And believe me, it's powerful when you're up in Jeff City. So one of the feedbacks that I would love to have from you, and I don't know that we can deliver, but if you would like to have another state rep that would be touching into the and certainly it can cause some consternation when you have one of one party and one of another party, but I honestly don't think there's much of a danger of that. And then the last thing that I would ask also, in that same vein, and I've asked the same of Battlefield and I've asked the same of Ash Grove. I don't have to worry, pretty much ring the phone off the hook. But if there are things that we can do to help you, if there are statutes that are in your way, know that, so that we can change those statutes. You have a good ear in Jefferson City right now towards local control. Statutes that are in the way, for instance, something the schools want to talk about is their bonding capacity, something that Greene County itself wants to talk about. Court is funded in Greene County, things of that nature. Then please put them together, let me know. We can start pre-filing bills in December. Anything out of your way that we can to help us to grow and to help us to become more efficient. So I don't think I breathed.
Do you have a business card or contact
I do.
information on you?
I do. I brought my cards, and the councilman here tonight, I'll let you just hand them down. They have the contact number on there for the Capitol. They have the email. I neglected, but certainly Councilman Hunsinger has my cell phone, and please ask him for that. You guys are all welcome to having my cell phone directly, so that you can contact me with any thoughts or concerns or issues that you might have. Certainly, I'll let you know as we do get what the betting is. Probably the most important thing that you're going to see right now going on about how you're represented in Jeff City is the redistricting. And as we do get real maps, and when I say that, there were two people who showed up at a committee hearing and they submitted maps, and somehow those things made themselves on the internet. But what you have is you have 10 Democrats, 10 Republicans on the House committee, and they're right now going around the state taking testimony. They'll submit and draw up their maps. Now, it's very, very likely with today's political environment that you're going to have a stalemate and it'll end up in the courts. So it's very likely that we may not know how we're going to be represented in this area until December, which is great if you're an incumbent because nobody knows if they can run against you, but it's kind of tough if you're trying to make plans. So, anybody else have any questions?
Council, any questions, comments, or anything for Representative Long? Mr. Hart?
There was something in the, going through the state about predatory lending.
Mm-hmm.
I never did hear the result of that.
Well, you're talking about the payday loan lending?
Yes.
Okay, and we had a bill before the House that some were not satisfied that it was not going far enough. Okay, and I would say that if I were writing up the bill, I would have probably made it a little tighter also myself. However, for those who want all or nothing, when you go to Jefferson City and you ask for all or nothing, you usually get nothing. And so that's what they ended up getting. Now, certainly, what it would have done, I'll get the numbers just a little bit wrong here, but right now, the current interest rate that you can charge, and this is going to sound astronomical, it is astronomical, is 2,400% in Missouri. This bill would have knocked it down to 1,500%, which you go, wow, I'd love to get 1,500% on my money. But it had some other controls in there. One of them was you could not pay off a loan and take out a loan the same day. Okay, there would have been a registry, and so when you showed paying off a loan, there would have been a 24-hour cooling off period. Could you roll the loan over more than 3 times? Currently, you can roll it over 6 times. Okay, and then the maximum interest rate would have been tied to the loan, gone from 60% of the loan to 40% of the loan, which is still considerable. But it's very, very difficult in the payday loan industry to really APR. Because if somebody takes out a $100 loan and 2 weeks later, they pay it off, what most opponents of payday loans want to do is they want to go to 36%. That was set by the military, for military personnel. It's been set by some other states. The problem with it is if you do that, you basically run them out of business. Now, if that's what their intent is, then that's a very good thing. Some people don't want payday loans at all. Have a $100 loan, you pay it off in 2 weeks at 36% interest, you get $1.43. So the payoff is $101.43. Nobody's $100 for 2 weeks for $1.43. So you have this tug and pull about, according to all statute or all studies done on the payday loan industry, about 95-96% of the people use them appropriately. They use them in emergencies only, they get their tire, or they keep their utilities on, or something like that. The problem is that other 4 or 5% are horrific stories, and they're heartrending, and there's nobody. The credit unions are starting to kind of plug that gap a little bit. There's a few other organizations that are trying to plug that micro loan gap, but there's nobody really stepped into the place. That's a very long answer to tell you nothing happened, but I want to give you some of the background. We passed that bill out of the House. It was never taken up in the Senate, and I'm not sure the governor would have signed it.
Other questions, council? Anything at all? Representative Long?
Well, certainly I appreciate your time, and I want to make sure that we stay connected. It's very difficult during the session, but please do, if you've got things. I know that the city administrator had emailed me, said he had a couple of things on his mind that he might want to talk about whenever any of you folks are ready. And I would like to, when you get the chance yourselves, and give me an answer on whether or not you really want to push, and if you do, then we'll try to get some representation, some touching the area, which again, my opinion, it could be beneficial, but I certainly want to defer to the local leaders.
Have a lot to do from county to county, because you're going from Christian County to Greene County.
Right, or it could also come Representative Kelly, okay, who's west of here, his district could pull down, or it could involve, we're going to get 2 more seats somewhere around here. Our growth has been such that we're going to get 2 more seats. No, we have state reps who have 6 counties in their district. It's just purely based off of population. So, okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Representative Long. I certainly appreciate it. I'd like to open a public hearing concerning an ordinance of the City Council of Missouri, amending sections 705.120, 705.160, and 705.210 by establishing averaging period and setting water and sewer rates for a 5-year period. I'd like to open it up, public hearing for anyone wishing against this particular public hearing. Please step forward, state your name, sign in. Give us your best 5 minutes. Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak in favor of the public hearing, please step forward, state your name, sign in. Seeing none, public hearing closed. I'd like to open it up now to citizen participation. Wishing to speak to anything not on the agenda, please step forward, state your name, and sign in. Give us your best 3 minutes. Seeing none, participation closed. I'd like to open it up now for the, need a motion on the consent agenda, sir.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstention? Motion. Moving on to financial report. Mr. Krischke, would you give the overview for the financial report, sir?
I can do that. Together a list of bills that are payable in the amount of $69,505.09. Nothing too unusual on two of the bigger items was the purchase of a truck for the Parks Department, and one other item, which I believe was the paving for some of the pavilion works out at the two parks where we put the two pavilions. We did concrete sidewalks and pads for those, and those were the two biggest items. That amounted to almost a little better than half of the total amount. Yes. Yes, it was. Yes.
Other questions, comments, discussion for Mr. Christie?
Control, what's the 4,600?
What page you on, Mr.
Page
Beard?
2. Page 3, rather.
I saw the highlight on the front page there.
All of animal control of that was our animal transfers to the Humane Society in Joplin. It's the cost of the stray animals that have been through the process for adoption. We transport those to the Humane Society, so that's part of it. There were some other, actually it was two times the money, and that was
2 trips.
Yeah, 2 trips for that. And then we also had some repairs. $1,000, I think $1,068 was the amount, went to the repairs for the Ford Ranger. I will point out we did have a truck budgeted for this coming year. We did not have the box budgeted, but we did have a new truck. We're looking at what's our best option to have a replacement truck, whether or not we need to go out and buy one complete with the box, or whether we try to truck. But in the next few weeks, we'll have some information back to council on that.
Thank you. Other questions, comments, discussions for Mr. Christie? Anything at all, financial report? Need a motion to approve financial report?
Motion. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Do you have any reports from staff?
Nothing?
Mr. Derrickson, birthday
Nope.
guy? Nothing? Okay. See you here. Future community events, May 26th, senior movie, 2 p.m.
Still on grumpy old man.
You're still on Grumpy Old Men. Has inquired, does he qualify for the senior movie now that he's had a birthday in the 60s?
I'm uncertain of the exact age, I was at his age yet.
But he's qualified, all right, no doubt about that. All right, May 26th, senior movie, Grumpy Old Men. If you're Ron's age, you qualified.
That is nap time, though, isn't it?
He is an attorney. May 26th, Farmers Market, 5th Street. May 27th, Schools Out Teen Party, that's 7 to 10. That's cost is $10. And includes dinner, and that is at the community center, correct, Jared?
That's right.
And May Public Aquatic Center opens Monday through Saturday, 12 to 7, and Sunday, 12 to 6. May 30th is Memorial Day. City offices will be closed. For the Cherry Republic Session 1 begins. June 2nd and June 9th are both the arthritis exercise programs. That is a free event. Registration is not required. June 11th is the teen trip to Springfield Cardinals game. Pre-registration is required. June 14th, another arthritis exercise from 1:30 to 2:30. That's a free event. June 23rd, arthritis exercise program again from 10 to 11. June 1st through June 14th. I'm not sure that's right. Let me try this again. June 1st is the 14th annual Have a Blast celebration.
That'd be July 1st.
July 1st.
June. Wait a minute. We did have that a problem, didn't we, with June, July? With, yes, okay.
14th annual.
July 1st, let me try this one more time. July 1st, the 14th annual Have a Blast celebration. That opens at 6 o'clock. Bands to begin at 6:15. Works will begin at approximately 9:40. And we have 2 bands this year, the MDOC Band and the Mark Chapman Band. Both of those participants and have a blast before, man, done a good job, so Jared's brought them back to entertain the crowds. July 21st is your Republic Night. Board of Commissions and Committee Reports, Board of Adjustments, June 2nd, Business Commission, May 25th, Capital Improvements, June 21st, City Council, June 13th, Community Pride, June 7th, Planning and Zoning, June 20th.
We won't have community pride until we have something else to work on.
Fair enough. Cancel Community Pride,
Cancel.
and Business Commission's also canceled, May 25th. Move those both off. All right, deal. I'll figure out something. On.
OTAC.
You volunteering for that job,
I
Mr. Harder?
already got volunteers.
No. Need a motion to have the second reading of bill number 11-11.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Motion carries.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, amending .120, 705.160, and 705.210 by establishing a sewer average water and sewer rates for a 5-year period.
Need a motion to have the final passage of bill number 11-11.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Please give us the overview, please, sir.
In fiscal years 2009 and 2010, water sewer system, the negative net result from annual operations. That red ink was balanced by transferring a little over $1.4 million. Both departments are projecting deficits again in 2011. Try to demonstrate additional investment is needed to renew and improve the water and sewer systems. Correcting flow, constructing improvements to the system requires raising rates, raising user fees, bringing in additional capital. The formal rate study was conducted. We have a 20-year forecast of expenditures with a very sharp focus on the upcoming 5 years. We've identified some expenses which are an annual increase, increases in electric rates. We know we need to do more to reduce I&I in the system. We've identified significant capital improvements that need to take place. We have proposed to the council an accompanying 5-year fee schedule. It is a user-friendly table, demonstrates 8% increase proposed in July of this year, again effective in 2012. Third year, we would drop down to a 5% increase. Less than 1% increase. This structure is what we would call front-loading. We have reserves that we have spent out over the last 2 years to develop working capital for some of the big question is why. Identified before, we have recurring. The biggest impact is regulatory changes. We've distributed to council some data on our wastewater discharge permit, negotiations with the state regarding stormwater clarifier. DNR for these additional costs, but what they're working towards is something that we need to make a priority as well, and that's water quality. As cost effective as using a stormwater clarifier, making improvements out of the system, but the water quality, the discharge will be better. And this is a decision that affects all the residents and not just with their pocketbook.
term goal ought to be a system that inspires confidence in not only our existing residents, but in new businesses. Representative Long had mentioned some potential economic development, a company that might be a big water and sewer user. We certainly don't type of community that might have a poor regulatory record or environmental record when those firms come looking. I don't want to repeat or rehash anything of what we've done before. I will finish my staff report with returning the mayor's penny.
You get my penny?
He's not even gonna tell us it flows uphill.
I'll tell you that. I appreciate. For those of you who weren't at the meeting that we had over at the community center, we kind of did a comparison, and I handed out pennies. And I asked everybody collectively, singly, what can you buy with a penny? Well, absolutely nothing, not even a piece of gum anymore costs a penny. And people, I said, might get a small can of soda someplace, but I said, in the City of Republic, a penny gets you a treated, stored, shipped to you, used, treated, sent back to the sewer plant, treated, and put back in the. That's why Mr. Brock gave me my penny. Appreciate that. Now I can put my loss down to about $1.99. Exactly. The one thing Mr. Brock did not touch on, I will touch on, is that we do pump our sewage uphill based on prior votes of the citizens of the community. It is a system that we live in. Mr. Brock has been charged with making sure that system is efficient and it works effectively as possible, and make sure that it is viable financially. Over the last few years, as we have grown, our system is aging a little bit, and the DNR regulations and the regulations that we're having from the EPA are starting to add a little cost to the system. I shouldn't say little, that's an understatement. They're adding a lot of cost to the system, and our pumping it uphill adds a lot of cost to the system. So we're kind of getting double hammered there. However, what is in front of you now? That is the background. What is in front of you now is the proposal from the focus group on exactly what they're looking for, presented to you, council, to decide as far as winter averaging and going with the rate schedule that is loaded in there. It goes out through 2015. As a reminder, in 2013, 2014, we're going to have to do this again to look for the next 5 years. We definitely want to make sure we plan out for 5 years, but at the same time, the minimum is 5 years. We're going to have to look out and plan out. I think David mentioned it earlier. We've had our expenses kind of projected out through 2020, something like that, roughly for the next 10 years. So our projections for expenses are out there. However, it's going to be a little difficult to project the water and sewer rates at that time, but we do project our expenses, so it'll make it a little bit easier when we have to do this again in 2013 and 2014. So with that said, questions, comments, discussions for Mr. Brock? Or Mr. Krischke? Anything at all? Questions, comments, discussion? Mr. Harder?
If this doesn't pass tonight, where do we go from here?
You want me to answer that?
Yes, sir.
Also?
Yes, sir.
As far as what further council action can occur is you would not be able to take this up again for 90 days. Now, as far as the aspects of what it would do to the budget or the city, that's David and Jim's call, and what they think that would cause.
Well, we do have a mid-year rate increase scheduled in for, I believe it's July's usage. So clearly that would be put on hold. So that would be, where 60 days would be June, July, August. So our mid-year price increase, which has been factored into the formula, would be delayed by 3 months. Would be delayed by 3 months. We would not be able to put that in place. That would be the immediate impact, and certainly it would pushed us back a little bit. Long-term, it probably wouldn't have as much of an impact, but it would have an impact certainly on the mid-year.
Mr. Brock, what your, to Mr. Harder's question, budget?
As I mentioned before, both systems are budgeted for a deficit. We left the opportunity out there for the council to look at a rate adjustment. If that were not affected, we've got a couple of open positions in wastewater that we've been holding off on starting to fill. Those would be deferred. We probably have some other defenses or expenses that we would, operational expenses, try to reduce or defer until the matter is settled, so to speak, by the council.
And Mr. Harder, to answer your question too, on our sheets, the first one there that says base case, everybody want to look at that, so it's actually the first adjustment you see there. That is absolutely doing nothing, so you'll see those red numbers across the bottom. The deficit on sewer would be $207,424. We'd still make a minimum of $170,690 on water. So the difference between those two, you would still run at a deficit between water and wastewater for the year. Does that answer your question? Mr. Hunsinger?
Maybe an oversimplification, but we can't continue to operate in a deficit. It just is not healthy for the city, and it's our job to make sure that that doesn't happen. This council's job, what I'm talking about. And I've answered that question several times from the public, and quite frankly, I said, you can't operate your business at a loss for a long period of time, and we can't operate the city, because it isn't. And we need to pass this bill tonight.
Other questions, comments, discussion? Anything at all? I would like to ask that everybody get their questions answered. Some of you had questions. I do not remember all of you that had questions. Did those questions get answered? Okay. Make sure that you had opportunity to get those answered via staff.
And staff was very receptive, I might add.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. If they weren't, I'd like to hear that too, but I'm glad to hear that they were very receptive. That brings up a good point, Mr. Hart. At this point, I would like to make sure everybody, if there are questions regarding any issue that we have, please ask staff. Go through Mr. He will get those answers for you and work with the department heads as we did on this issue. Other questions, comments, discussion? Anything at all? Roll call vote.
Councilmember Harrelson? Aye. Councilmember
Aye.
Councilmember Ward?
Aye.
Councilmember Harder?
No.
Councilmember Hunsinger?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Kleekenbeard?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-1-0. On to other businesses, old business. Resolution number 11-R-29, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic of Missouri authorizing the Police Department to apply for the 2012 Missouri Highway Safety Program for traffic enforcement grants. Need a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion. Second. Welcome, Chief Lowe. Please give us the overview.
Well, we've been fortunate the last couple of years to get these highway safety grants. That's enabled us to the anti-youth drinking and driving, the Buckle Up campaigns, the aggressive driver campaigns, and the DUI checkpoints that we've done. We've done those in conjunction with Greene County Sheriff's Department, Springfield, partnering with us. This year we've applied for the same ones. We don't always get all we ask, but it's benefiting us that we're picking up certain, if nothing else, they're paying the overtime rates for the officers to be able to do this, which helps put extra in the city to keep the citizens safe. In here you'll notice one of them is a mobile speed display, and we obviously get numerous in the school zones and other locations. As Mr. Brock would tell you, we've had ongoing speeding complaints up in the Oakwood area, in front of Public Ford. Enough to get that grant, we would try and utilize it up there to try and caution the drivers to slow down. So I don't know how successful we'll be, but we're hoping for your support to apply for it.
Something that can move around?
Yes, it's a mobile speed trailer. You've probably seen them in other cities, so we're hoping to get one.
Questions, comments, discussion for Chief Lowe? Mr. Harder?
How long would we have that mobile speed display?
It would be ours,
Ours forever? And ever?
until we lose it, so.
Is that a trailer that's resellable?
I could just see another police department coming over and borrowing it for a while.
Or the fire chief on eBay or something.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Take it out to the ballpark and use it for pitching.
Other comments, questions, discussion for Chief Lowe? Anything at all? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Resolution number 11-R-30, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, awarding a bid for precast concrete pipe and authorizing the purchase. Motion? Motion. Second. I have a motion and a second. Mr. Brock, please give us the overview, sir.
One of our budgeted projects this year is upgrading the culvert piping in the 600 block of Northwest Avenue, just north of Hine. The biggest material cost in that project is, of course, the concrete piping. Staff solicited bids from the local vendors for reinforced concrete pipe, Spurlock Industries, Duracast. We bid this out at a unit price. Duracast was our low bidder per foot. We are estimating a need for approximately 90 feet of total footage. So the estimated bid award would be, $86. We're asking the council to declare Duracast the low bidder, best and most responsible bidder, and authorize the purchase of that pipe.
96 feet, correct? Diameter reinforced concrete pipe?
I believe you're correct, yes.
Okay, thank you. Questions, comments, discussion for Mr. Brock?
Just go through the timeline on when this will be delivered and when that work is going to get done. We secured all of the easements. We had a little difficulty, but David was able to work with the property owners. But just so everyone knows the timeline.
We were shooting late July. When we get through the rainy period, that's not an area that we want to be mucking about in.
No.
The most favorable conditions.
Questions, comments, discussion, Mr. Harder?
Is there any other culvert replacement that you have scheduled? 40,000, do you have any other scheduled for the year?
Not part of that. We had actually estimated about $18,000 for the cost of this pipe. The materials market, kind of like contractors, it's a very volatile. We came out on the winning end this time. Stormwater work on North Boston also requires some new culvert pipe, and that may be an issue that comes up. This job will definitely come in under budget, so to speak.
Okay.
So we'll have funds available to maybe look at other projects. I think our Boston Lane project was only funded at 50% to round that project out for full completion.
Thank you. Any questions? Additional questions, comments, discussion? Mr. Brown? Anything at all? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Motion carries. Motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? Carried. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.